guys, I'm Mike Levitsky. Today we're going to be working on a beginning blues lick. That sounds really cool, I think. And just because it's accessible by beginners doesn't necessarily mean that it's not good. I think a lot of times we get on YouTube and we look for advanced licks, or the fastest licks, or sweep picking licks, or the most difficult licks, and we think that because they're difficult to play that they're somehow better than licks that are not difficult to play. And I found this not to be true. It's the same thing on the drum set. There's some licks out there that are really hard to play or really fast, and they're amazing. Yes, that's true, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are the best lick for the situation. Sometimes you want to pick something that's simple. You want to say something simple, especially as you guys are learning to develop solos over time and you're developing a blues solo. You don't want to open your blues solo with the fastest lick that you know how to play. You want to open with something that's simple and that speaks and that makes your guitar talk a little bit. You want to tell a story with your solo so that by the time you get to the end, or you get to the second chorus, or the third chorus, or the fourth chorus, however many times you're going to go around in that solo, be it blues or jazz or even rock, you have somewhere to go. If you start at the top, you've got nowhere to go. So something that we want to do as guitar players is carry the listener along as we're going. Most of our audience that's going to be listening to us play, most of them probably aren't musicians. Some of them might be, but most of them probably aren't. And so if you do the lick on your guitar or the drums or whatever instrument you play that's the most difficult lick you know, that may be impressive to other musicians, but to a non-musician, it may just sound like noise, or it may be something they don't understand, or something that's complicated. And so today we're going to be looking at a really simple lick that you can play over and over and over on every chord within the blues that just sounds really nice. It's easy to understand. It's not hard to play. And I think that if you add this to your vocabulary and you throw it into some of your solos, you'll really find that non-musicians, and even musicians alike, enjoy hearing the sound of this lick. It's a super simple lick. We're going to be in the key of A. Like most of my videos, I keep us in the key of A, so that all the licks that you learn from me will fit together. Sometimes when you learn licks in a bunch of different keys, you're kind of like, okay, well, what do I do with all these licks? None of them really fit together. So all these keys we're going to learn, or all these licks we're going to learn in the key of A, they should all fit together, and then all you have to do is move them around the guitar neck to put them into different keys. But we're going to be in the key of A. Okay, again, we're going to be working in the A minor pentatonic or blues, A blues scale. Okay, they're the same, only you have an E flat for the blues scale. So the pentatonic scale is 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. And the blues scale adds one extra note, so it's 5, 8, 5, 6, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 8, 5, 8, 5, 8. And that 8 and that 6 are the same note. They're the note E flat. That's your blues note. So that is the minor blues scale. So you don't even need to know the A blues scale in order to play this lick. You can just play the 3 notes that I tell you to play. But if you do know how to play the blues scale, you'll notice that the first note of this lick isn't even in that scale. It's an extra note that you can add to the scale that sounds really nice, and it's the note F sharp. So that's the 7th fret on the 2nd string. Now F sharp is the 13th of an A7 chord. So if we play A7 and then we add F sharp to it, we get an A13, which is an A7 chord with the note F sharp on it. So if you counted from A to F, you'd notice you get to the 6. But if we keep counting, we count to F again, you'll get to the 13. Now the 13 is above the 7th scale degree, and so we're going to call that a 13 chord because we're including the 7th in this chord. We have root, 7, 3rd, and then 13. Now if we didn't have the 7, this note right here, if we just had these 3 notes, you could call this an A6. But because we're adding the 7th, that 6th then jumps up over the 7th and is known as a 13th. So this is an A13 chord. Really nice chord. Now you don't need to know any of that music theory. I just say that for my music theory fans out there. If you don't really care about music theory, let me just tell you what notes you need to play, okay? So you're going to play the 7th fret on the 2nd string, Then you're going to play the 5th fret on the 3rd string, and then the 7th fret on the 4th string. And that's the whole lick. 7, 5, 7. F sharp, C, A. Now that sounds kind of bland on its own, right? Kind of boring. What makes this lick really nice and makes your guitar really speak is to put a slight bend on this note right here. You're gonna bend it up a little bit. So you're gonna play the F sharp, then we're gonna bend that C just a hair, and then drop down to A. Hear that? Makes the guitar talk. I played this like 3 or 4 times in the intro of this video over each of the chords in the blues progression, and it sounded great on each one. Now you can just play over each chord and it will sound great. But you can also move the landing note around and it'll sound like you're following the chord progression around. And that's a really cool thing to do. It's like a really hip thing to do. It makes it sound like you really know what's going on when you're playing the blues. And so the first chord, so the 1 chord, the A chord, you're going to play F sharp, C, and you're going to land on A. Right? And that sounds good over the A chord. Now when we go to the D7, which is the 4 chord, you can play this again. And you can land there. It sounds okay. But you can also go, and you can land on the D. And that's going to be the 7th fret of the 3rd string. That sounds like you're following the chord changes around. Now when you get to the 5 chord, which is the E chord, the E7, you can go, and you can land on the note E. And that note is the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So you're following around the chord changes with the note that you land on. So you're going F sharp, C, A, then F sharp, C, D, right? Then F sharp, C, E. And you can hear the blues changes right in just that lick if I played that. 1, 2, 3, 4, Right, there's the 1. Here comes the 5. And the 4. And then the 1. So that's a great solo just right there, and you're following the chord changes around. Now, if you watch the intro to this video, I used that lick and then I kind of added a couple things around it just to extend it a little bit. So I played stuff like, okay, and I'm just going down from the A, dropping down to the 5th fret, and back up to the 7th fret, or I played stuff like, back to that. Okay, and you always pull on that a bit, drop it back down. So there you go, guys. A quick lick, a quick lesson, something that sounds really nice and is easy to play. It's accessible to beginners, but it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be played by pros. I hope this helps you out, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bonus! Hey, if you guys want to really extend this lick a lot and you're an advanced kind of a player, you can play with the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, play it as quarter note triplets and really kind of feel that time. You can really hold on to that. That's a fun thing to do for the blues. It just sounds really good. It makes the guitar kind of delays the landing point. I missed. Those are fun things to do. Play with the rhythm, play with where it lands, or go up there. That's a nice place to land. Or, you know? There's some fun extra tips for you. See you next time.